Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Bulldog Mom in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I cut off my family for getting a restraining order on my husband. I have been married to my husband for a few months, but we've been together for 6 years. My parents asked us to move into their home 2 years ago to help them out since my father is medically disabled. We agreed because this would allow us to save up for a house. When I was 19, my father had a brain tumor and at the same time, his mother was in the hospital and her condition was critical. My mother spent all her time at the hospital with my grandmother, so I decided to take 2 years off from college and put in a leave of absence from my job until my father recovered, so I could take care of him and my younger brother. Fast forward, I met my now husband at work and we hit it off. From the beginning, he took it upon himself to take my father to appointments and fix things around the house for them. When we moved in, my husband repaired the house for my parents every day after working 10-hour shifts. Anything they asked of him, he did. He fixed the dryer 6 times, repaired the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, and anything else they needed. Now that we've been married for a few months and have been looking for a home, my mother has been rude and passive-aggressive toward him ever since our wedding. Some backstory on my childhood. I was emotionally abused by my mother and was taught to hate my father because he was always working. She repeatedly told me my dad had no time for me and to not bother him for anything. Once, when I was 6, my mother broke an easel over my head because I was playing with Barbies with my friend. She wanted to play with my new one and I told her she could use any other one she wanted. My mother has always been toxic, but I was constantly gaslit by family and friends and everything was always my fault. My brother, on the other hand, stole from my parents thousands of dollars, became addicted to hard drugs, and has threatened to beat my parents and me multiple times. He's the golden child and can do no wrong. I have always resented my parents for this, but was made to believe I was being irrational and that it was my fault. My husband and I have put our own money into my parents' house to help renovate it for them, with no expectation of repayment. My parents have been ungrateful for everything we, especially my husband, have done for them, but we kept doing it because we live there too. Recently, my therapist told me that to prioritize my health and my husband's well-being, I needed to confront my parents about the issues and trauma I've endured. When I did, they suddenly claimed my husband was brainwashing me. In their words, "There was never an issue, so why are you speaking up now?" I explained that my therapist encouraged me to work on healthier family dynamics, which is why I chose to address these matters. My husband and I received many gifts for our wedding, and both of my parents suggested we place them in a room that no one uses. Recently, they've been complaining about the gifts and told us to figure out storage. So yesterday we bought a small shed from Sam's Club so we can store all of our belongings in it. This is what set my mother off. She said it was her house and we had no right to purchase the shed. When we tried to explain the reason for it, she started screaming at my husband, telling him he does nothing in the house and that we just do whatever we want because we are selfish. She also said she wanted us out of her house. I told her we had no place to go and that we needed time. She then charged at my husband and attempted to punch him in the face. My father stopped her and then they called the police. When the police arrived, they told us that they felt sorry for us because we hadn't done anything wrong, but they decided to place a temporary restraining order on my husband. They also suggested that I be evaluated for brainwashing and Stockholm Syndrome. All of this over a shed. The police came a few hours later and said that I didn't have to leave, but that my husband would have to leave temporarily. So we packed up our belongings, our dog, and left for a hotel. I've been receiving messages from family members saying that I'm in the wrong and that I'm an asshole because I put my parents through hell. I've decided for my own mental health that I need to cut off all toxic family members because my husband and I don't deserve this. Edit, hey all, I noticed my wording about the Stockholm Syndrome and brainwashing nonsense sounded like it came from the police. I'm sorry, my parents were yelling and begging the police to evaluate me because I would never speak to them like this on my own. The police obviously didn't do anything of the sort, and even told my parents that I was clearly speaking for myself and was under no duress. Update. Hello friends. For those of you who read my first post, it's been 80 days since I posted it, and a lot has changed. My husband and I have found a house and will be moving into our new home at the end of August. I am currently maintaining low contact with my parents only because many of our belongings are still in their house. I have already arranged for movers to come and help me gather all of our belongings, and yes, my parents are aware that we are taking our things. My parents were given no further information other than that we have found a place of our own. My father has ignored me since the situation they caused and essentially blames me for it, although he tells my mother out loud that he's not mad at me when I'm present. My mother thinks everything is fine, even though I tell her our relationship is far from it, but narcissistic parents will believe what they want. Once all of our belongings are out of the house, I'm cutting off all contact with my parents and anyone else who needs to go. My husband and I, despite this difficult situation, have grown stronger and are living a relatively peaceful life. Therapy has been wonderful, and we are welcoming all the positive things coming our way with open arms. One thing I realized, aside from my parents being narcissists, is that I really did go through a lot of trauma throughout my life, and my parents still think they're the best parents out there. There was a moment early on in all of this where I thought I couldn't keep going. When I came out of that place and was strong again, I spoke with my parents about it since my mom kept telling me how much they care about me still. Their response to all of this was, "Oh, well, that's not our fault, and shit happens." They're right, shit does happen, and it's going to hit them hard once I am out of their lives for good. Thanks for all the kind words and advice. I thought I'd share with those who care to know how we are doing. Payvav said, either that therapist is awful, verging on malpractice, or the OP misunderstood something. What qualified professional would advise their client to confront their abusers while still living under their roof? Nerd is a verb said, despite the title, I don't think there was actually any restraining order. It sounds like the police just asked the husband to leave temporarily. Many children of narcissistic parents develop wildly fantastical views about how legal and financial systems work because narcissistic parents lie to create a false reality to control their children and adult children. These children often assume everyone else will take the narcissistic parent's side in a dispute, even if their claims sound completely ridiculous to most people. Goddess of Spite said, wait until the first thing breaks, or they have medical needs or a need for financial help. They will clearly never get that help from their precious son, and the OP will be long gone. That will be karma. This second post was made in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a user named GameyGYN. The post is titled, I told her she was out of my league. She didn't like it. So I gave her the real reason. She didn't like it either. I met a pretty chill girl at a heavy metal concert. We kept in touch as we didn't live too far away, attended another concert together, and sometimes went out for coffee or visited a museum. We didn't see each other too often, and I didn't think much about it. She did. While drinking coffee, she asked me out on a real date. I dodged and told her she was way out of my league, which she is by all accounts. Needless to say, she was upset. I thought it would just be like any rejection, but she really hated me saying this. She was angry not so much at me, but at how she had received this answer many times before, and she wondered if it was really true or just a convenient thing to say to avoid the real reason. She seemed genuinely hurt, so I listened and didn't make any jokes, allowing her to express herself. Then she asked again if that's really what I thought. Now, I do think she's out of my league, but behind that, there's another reason. I never had a partner. I was never any good at this stuff, despite the whole self-improvement routine and traveling and so on. I was never much more than the odd one out who could make some people laugh but was often ignored. Why she didn't ignore me like everyone else is beyond me, but after turning 30, I was done with hoping and working towards love. That wasn't in my cards, so I gave up. I stopped discussing love with friends, stopped looking for advice, stopped trying to get better socially, and stopped thinking about it as much as I could. I lived my life, and life would be lived alone, and that was it. It helped me get my footing again, and it helped me find happiness. I'm 33 and I'm not about to start dating now for the first time when I'm lagging years behind. I'm not starting with the whole trying, figuring out how you handle relationships and what you want in them, stumbling around with sex and words, while people around me are sending their kids to school and getting divorced and married again. While I have the maturity of an 18-year-old in this matter, that ship has sailed. It feels like I wasn't worth anything in love before, and now, years later, I'm enough for people to settle for long after people are done with the exploring stuff and settling down. It feels like a long-winded pity affair of sorts. As long as I'm happy, I'm good with being alone. And opening that can of worms after closing it seems like a good way to put a dent in my happiness. I told her that, more or less, she didn't like it either. Why not just give it a try, for the experience? Then I asked her some questions. I asked if she had spent a decade without anyone showing romantic affection towards her. She hadn't. I asked if she could guess what effect this could have on someone. She guessed it would be pretty bad. She was right. At this point, we're in two different universes. She's looking for something I can't give. You don't spend so long alone without walling yourself off from the idea of love. That's what I had to do to be happier again. But that doesn't work with other people. She still didn't fully understand, and I don't blame her. It's a strange situation that's hard to grasp without going through it. I asked her if I should have just said I wasn't interested and left it at that. She said she didn't know, and that was it. It was a weird afternoon all around, and I felt a bit off, so I'm venting. Thanks for reading. Edit: lots of people equate giving up on love with giving up on life. Chill, and if you really think that, get off the internet. Just because I closed the door on dating and love doesn't mean I'm letting myself do nothing and rot. I have projects and things to do, a book to write, and places to visit. As hard as it is for some of you to fathom, you can give up on love and still be happy in life. I'm also not blaming others for having been the undesirable one. I have friends who are unfortunate looking but have had a lot of success. I know it's all on me. Everything isn't so cut and dry. I'm also worried by the number of people who equate going to a museum or a concert with a date. You never do that with friends? Update. Hey folks, I wanted to provide a short update since some people asked for it in the original thread. As for the update, I sent her a message apologizing and telling her I didn't communicate well, but I still value her as a friend and would be happy to see her again in that capacity. We met twice since then and talked it out. She understands my reasons more or less, even if she doesn't agree with them. She understands them even better now that she's considering giving up on dating as well. Apparently, her dating history is a long list of people she fell for who gave her similar reasons, or guys who saw her as a prize and left her the moment they had slept with her. This helps me understand better why she was upset at my reasons for not dating her. I'm crossing my fingers that she finds a good person who sees her the same way and can build something with her. She's okay with still going out to do things and us staying purely platonic. We met twice and we're planning to visit a restaurant in the next few days. We're both foodies. I also saw my therapist and told him about it. He said my reasons can be seen as a defense mechanism that might not be as relevant today as they were in the past. It does make sense, but I'm not willing to try a relationship now with all the difficulties that come with starting late and the uncertainties of even finding someone. Life is easier without that to consider. We'll discuss it again next time, I suppose. Here you go. Thanks for participating in the last thread and have a good day. Edit: I redid this post due to formatting issues. Edit 2, if certain individuals could refrain from sending me messages, I would appreciate it. Giving up on dating doesn't mean I decided to throw common sense to the wind and disrespect women and society. Helgas said, I agree with the therapist. I think OP has put up really big multiple walls, which is understandable given the little bit of history we have. What I think is a bit foolish is that they also adopted an old set in their ways mentality to go along with it. It's scary to be unwilling to change anymore. I think a smarter approach would have been to say something like, I like you, but I've been burned before. I don't even understand why you're interested in me. I can't promise you anything, but maybe if we keep going out, things might change. Relationships, like therapy, take time and trust. You can't just dive into one and expect it to be perfect, especially with a past that's not super positive. Maybe I'm a romantic, but I think there's a chance to get that feeling back if the person wants to, especially if you're transparent and both people are okay with it and understand it. Because if she's about done too and you both just hang out, maybe you will just have each other to spend time with for life, which is okay too. But making up excuses and then being so blunt, especially when it's not exactly true, is just damaging the friendship in my opinion. Number 5, Momo said, you know what makes me double down on not being in a relationship? People telling me I can't be happy if I'm not in one. Every reason I have for not wanting to be in a relationship is dismissed as just hurt feelings. Why is happiness only found in being in a relationship? Do you know how depressing it is to be single and have to consider compromising yourself to fit in? I don't know, man. I feel for this guy. Make friends. Make memories with those friends. A full life can be lived. Being without a relationship doesn't mean you're alone. That's how I was able to crawl out of my hole of despair. The hope that my happiness won't rely on someone else. To this, a deleted user said, thank you. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know, I'm tired of trying and I want to be content with myself. It's similar to going out with people who get upset if you don't drink. Maybe I don't want to drink. Maybe single life after a failed relationship isn't so bad and I don't need a significant other to be fulfilled or do what I want to do. Maybe recognizing that it just isn't in the cards for me and choosing not to waste more time trying when I have a whole life I could be living instead of of dating around is a perfectly acceptable choice. I recognize the damage that not wanting to be alone did to me. I learned from my mistakes and I am good on my own. This final post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "Something happened between my husband and best friend. My husband and I have been together for 15 years and married for 12. We have 4 kids, and we've always had a wonderful, loving relationship, with both of us being amazing partners to each other. My mom isn't doing well health-wise, so I flew out to see her with our youngest on Friday morning, and we will be flying back tomorrow night. A few hours ago, my best friend called me crying and said she had gotten into a major fight with her husband after discovering he had cheated. She asked if she could come over, having forgotten that I wasn't in town. I talked to her for a little while and tried to calm her down. I also called my husband to explain the situation and asked if it was okay for my best friend to spend the night in our guest room. He was fine with it. I took our iPad with me to keep our youngest entertained while at my parents' place. It is logged into my husband's Apple ID email, so his messages and calls show up on it. When I went to charge it, I saw tens of messages from my best friend to my husband. I found it strange since they were supposed to be under the same roof, and I knew it was wrong to snoop, but I ended up reading the messages anyway. Long story short, something happened between them. My husband kicked her out, and my best friend wants to keep whatever it is a secret. But my husband says that I deserve to know. I don't know what to do or think now, and I have no one I can talk to about this. What am I supposed to do now? Update. You guys were right. I wanted to have the conversation face to face and waited until I got back a few hours ago. We talked after we had dinner and all the kids went to bed. After my now former friend showered and freshened up, my husband gave her leftovers from dinner, and they talked about her husband and the situation with him. Out of nowhere, she tried to sit in his lap and tried kissing him. My husband pushed her off and she tried again. He told her she had to leave. My husband admitted that he was tempted to call me late last night, but didn't want to add more to my plate while I was with my mom. He wanted to be physically present when he told me. I have talked to her since, and she is back at her place. Her husband is not there. She has been very apologetic and says she wasn't in the right headspace and made a mistake by trying something with my husband. She is begging me not to end our friendship. To be honest, I feel bad for her, but she knows how much I love my husband and my family, and she was willing to ruin everything. I can't forgive that or rationalize it. Extension Accident said, "It's nice to read that someone didn't automatically cheat and cared about what happened with their marriage. I've read too many cheating stories on Reddit and have become too cynical. OP and her husband handled this situation maturely. Couldn't be," Macy said. "I've been distraught, I've been grieving, I've been heartbroken, but never have I ever tried to sleep with my friend's husband. And the fact that the ex-friend tried to get your husband to keep it from you is beyond messed up." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.